yes. Once again, thank you all for joining us. You reach Inside Leverage with Fan Thirst Network. We are back again, and we have one of our wonderful guests, Mr. Andrew Moore, joining the show today. We're going to go ahead and clap it up for him. We got my
Five
guy.
reasons though. Shout out to Five Reasons what we really are. Shout out to Five Reasons. Andrew, man, how we doing today, my brother?
Hey, we're doing great. Appreciate you guys having me on. As we're gonna talk some Colts Dolphins tonight. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Fun matchup. I think it's gonna be. There's definitely a bunch of storylines for each one of these teams, which is always the case with the Indianapolis Colts. There's never no drama with this team. In 5 years covering the team, I've never had any shortage of topics. So I'm excited to get into it with you guys.
And man, without, let's get right to it, man. What's going on with Jonathan Taylor, man? Is that a high ankle sprain? Is he coming back? You really can't go off for like practice reports. You guys are more like boots to the ground. You really know what's going on with your team. So what are the specs for him to play this game and be an actual impact factor?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't expect Jonathan Taylor out there this week. I think he's still probably a week away. He dealing with that high ankle sprain. It's not a severe high ankle sprain, but you guys know how tricky high ankle sprains are. If it's something that if it isn't healed, it can linger throughout the rest of the season. That's the last thing that the Colts want to do, is have their all-pro running back, really the guy that they run their offense through, hampered the rest of the way. So they are being cautious with it. He's close. He hasn't practiced in 3 weeks. He didn't practice again today. And I still think that there's a slim chance that he plays. If he does play, it's not going to be the full workload that Jonathan Taylor is used to, but I still think it's probably a week away. I think they want him to be 100%, and there's a better chance that he plays next week against the Texans, huge divisional matchup for the Colts, than this week against the Dolphins. So you're looking at Tyler Goodson, who has come on and been serviceable. Trey Sermon is also out there. He hasn't done
He's
well.
Dinged up though, right? Isn't he dinged up as well?
He is dinged up. He's dealing with a knee issue. So the Colts are a little bit dinged up at the running back position. I would assume Trey Sermon does play because it is a minor knee injury that he is dealing with. But still, you're not. It's a lot different preparing for Jonathan Taylor than it is preparing for the likes of Tyler Goodson and Trey Sermon.
We were trying to trade for him. We know we really know. Go ahead, Brent.
Well, let me ask you this: whether it's you've kind of been on the Flacco train, you got Richardson. Where are you guys at with? I don't want to call it an experiment because we know who you're trying to build your franchise around, but where are you all in that process this season as where you want to go? Do you think you all going to give Richard the full range this game, or are you all going to keep Flacco just, maybe starts, maybe you pull him if you don't? What do you think?
Listen, the national media is doing a fantastic job of trying to stir up a quarterback controversy in Indy because there is zero quarterback controversy in Indianapolis. This is Anthony Richardson's team, and he practiced in full today. He's feeling good. I'd be shocked if he doesn't start on Sunday. The Colts, yes, have seen some success on offense with Jonathan Taylor, with Joe Flacco in regards to, the offense has been, I wouldn't say more efficient, but they've been able to sustain some drives. But the offense is much less dynamic with Joe Flacco in there. The dude, while he did have a 21-yard scamper against the Jaguars, the dude's pretty much a statue in the pocket there. The quarterback run game is non-existent with Joe Flacco in the game. And the offense, again, is just less dynamic than it is with Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is the future of this team. And honestly, it really hurts that he had to leave that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, because really the biggest thing with Anthony Richardson has been the game just needs to slow down for him. I mean, we're talking about a guy that has 8 starts in his NFL career, 21 starts total since high school. That's not a lot of football, guys. He just needs to be on the field. He needs those live game reps. And Colts fans and really just fans of football in general, they need to be patient with this kid. It's going to be a couple of years before he settles down, before he figures it all out. But in that game against the Steelers, the game, you could see it was slowing down for him. He wasn't trying to fire it before his feet were set. He was getting his feet pointed in the right direction. He was taking his time in the pocket, not rushing his throws, and he was delivering accurate footballs. 2 drives for Anthony Richardson, 2 touchdowns for the Colts. That's what the Colts have been wanting to see. Now they just need to see it consistently. The only way that he's going to get that is with live reps. So the oblique feels really good. He probably could have went last week, but the Colts are again, they want to take things slow with Anthony Richardson. It's a long season. It's only week 6. Joe Flacco has been performing well, so there's not a huge rush to push Anthony Richardson out there. So might as well let Flacco go out there. That's why you went out and signed him, because you wanted to get a high caliber backup like Joe Flacco. But again, I'd be shocked if Anthony Richardson isn't out there on Sunday. He feels good. He has no restrictions at this point. Was a full participant in practice today for even more indication. Number 5 is going to be quarterbacking the Colts on Sunday.
Quick question. Like I think a lot of defensive coordinators are taking the wrong approach with AR, because I feel that last season, the small sample size that we got from him, they thought he's just they don't respect his arm. It goes back to the SEC football. Even the Gators are like, oh, he can't run the ball correctly. I mean, he can't throw a slant. The big knockers in a slant. But me per se, I was watching the growth of him as a pure passer, and it's funny how you talk about his feet being set, and I think that's why he was being so effective, and the injury kind of harping the growth. So, how do you see his development? I know I'm not one of these fans that wants a quarterback to play right now. I think quarterbacks take like 2 to 3 years. These quarterbacks don't know anything in college. They don't know nothing in high school, let alone when they get to the NFL, which is ask Tom Brady how he feels about this. So how do you see his development going this year?
It's definitely been a roller coaster so far, and I think it's going to continue to be a roller coaster. I mean, when you watch football long enough, you realize that quarterback development isn't linear. You're not going to see him continually get better each and every game. Some games he's going to look fantastic, and then he might have a couple of games where he looks really bad. Then he has 3 games in a row where he's average, and then another 2 games where he looks great. But what you want to see overall is that continued growth throughout the season. You want to see him not making the same mistake over and over and over again. So again, I think it gets back to the game just slowing down for him, because when you look at his throwing mechanics and his upper body and everything, the throwing mechanics are actually really, really good. He's got a really good throwing motion, a quick release. He's not double clutching it or anything. What he really just needs to slow down is just making sure he throws with his feet towards his opponent, or towards his target, I should say. Make sure he's aligned with his target, not trying to just whip it in there because he has the arm to do it. Make sure you're taking your time and going through that footwork that you've been practicing all off season. Now, I will say, the shoulder injury, not being able to throw, having all that time off, you can kind of imagine that his mechanic, his footwork at least, have kind of probably regressed a little bit. And I have seen that this season. But as the games have gone along, and again, I'm going to bring up that Pittsburgh game because that's the last time we've seen Anthony Richardson. He was marrying his feet with his upper body, and what do you know? He was delivering very accurate throws. He was taking his time in the pocket, wasn't rushing things. And he even admitted it. He said, I see a guy open. I'm like, oh, he's open. I got to get him the ball. And I'm not taking my time. I'm rushing things. So as long as he just slows down, I think he'll be fine. The mental capacity is there. This guy is sharp he's very sharp. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know this about Anthony Richardson. He was a very good student. He was in advanced classes his entire high school and college career. 4.0 student, very bright individual. So it's just going to take time with any young player. The guy is still the youngest starting quarterback in the NFL, 2 years running. It'll just take time. It's not going to be linear. There's going to be good games. There's going to be bad games. You just got to trust it. And you hope after these 2 seasons, then I think you can start to make a full assessment on Anthony Richardson.
Right. And I want to just ask one more question, because one of the things you see is he's great with his legs. I think he's averaging like 6.7 yards with his leg. Is that based on, like you said, his just IQ, where he doesn't see it and he's just taking what's there? or is that more just kind of in your scheme and how you guys are scheming up your offense?
There's a lot of quarterback run game involved in that. Shane Steichen definitely isn't afraid to send Anthony Richardson on a draw, but with that, it comes the risk of injury. And so far, Anthony Richardson has not been able to stay on the field. I wouldn't say he's injury prone just yet. I mean, I don't think we need to go too deep into that, because some of the hits, that shoulder injury. He had Harold Landry with all of his body weight just driving Anthony Richardson into the ground. That's right on his shoulder. That's going to cause an injury. Minkah Fitzpatrick hit him right on the hip. I think he's been more unlucky than injury prone. However, Anthony Richardson does still need to learn how to protect himself. Sometimes on when you're in at the 30-yard line and it's 3rd and 9, you're not diving for a first down and putting your body on the line. Know when to live to fight another day. It's okay to run out of bounds. It's okay to slide and hold up, because you can't help your team if you're not out there on the field. So I think
we know about that. We have two.
Yes, exactly. So definitely part of the maturation process for Anthony Richardson is in his game is learning how to protect himself, and I still think he has a ways to go in that regard.
Well, you got another question? Go ahead, Fresh, because we might just go to Fresh's corner. Go ahead, Fresh.
I'm the leader.
Andrew, I apologize. He does this all the time. He's the leader of the other wide receivers, the leader of the trench gang.
No.
He wears every hat here. So go ahead, Fresh. You got it. Go ahead. I won't even. Go ahead.
I'm the leader of the trench gang, the leader of the linebacker and leader.
Oh my God!
Those are the areas where I kind of like to dive in deep. And speaking of linebackers, you guys got some pretty good linebackers. Can you talk about this group of guys you got in? I mean, you got what's it, Franklin with 30 and 30? These are some good numbers. Is it your defensive trenches that are getting your guys open to be able to clean it up, or your guys just playing specifically the linebacking core, just playing above kind of where most guys are?
So I think Chris Ballard, for all of his faults, and I think he does have certain faults, he has done a great job at finding diamonds in the rough at the linebacker position. I mean, you start out with Shaquille Leonard, a guy that was from South Carolina State, came in as a 2nd-round pick, and we all know how his early career turned out before that injury. But Zaire Franklin's a guy that started as a 7th-round pick, was a core special teamer, worked his way up to special teams captain, then finally cracked the starting lineup. And from there, he's been in the top 2 in tackles every single season. This year so far, Zaire Franklin actually is having a down year. And I think he'd be the first one to admit that. But that doesn't mean that Zaire Franklin isn't still a very solid linebacker. I mean, he's gonna wrap you up right in the middle there. He is the key cog in the middle of that defense. And EJ Speed is a guy that has just continued to grow each and every year. This is EJ Speed's first year as a full-time starter, because last year he was splitting those reps with Shaquille Leonard until Leonard was cut. But this is his first year as a full-time starter, and now EJ Speed is leading the NFL in tackles. So when you look on the surface, that's really good numbers. Now, the Colts linebackers do have a propensity to miss plenty of tackles as well. Last game against the Titans, they really cleaned that up. Only had 3 missed tackles as a team. Against the Jaguars, they had 16 missed tackles. So if you have some guys that are able to get loose from the linebackers, you can potentially have a lot of yards after the catch. That's something that I think that Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed have really focused on since that Jaguars loss. We'll see if they can do that this week. But overall, I think when both of those guys are on, they can compete with any linebacker duo in the NFL.
I think it could be a victim of being a young team and undisciplinedness of whatnot, because the numbers do not reflect the effort and the play of your defense, because you're ranked terribly in the run, but you have stouts at positions and stuff like that. So how do you guys feel going against this new version of the Dolphins team? Because prior to, if we would have had 2, I would have told you, oh, look, you do a lot of motioning and all this stuff. But given the new sort of game plan, we kind of dumb it down to meat and potatoes, and we do have elusive ball runners, and you mentioned missing tackles. How comfortable are you with that?
I think the best course of action for the Dolphins to succeed on Sunday is to control the clock and run the football, because really this Colts defense has struggled this year against the run. And I think the biggest reason for that is not having DeForest Buckner in the middle. DeForest Buckner, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in all of football. Whenever you talk about the best defensive tackles in the NFL, rarely do you hear DeForest Buckner's name come up, but he's an absolute monster in there. And having him out for most of the season, that's really hurt this Colts run defense, because Grover Stewart can't do it all there in the middle. When Grover Stewart comes out, that's when teams have really had success. Taven Bryan has been a major disappointment. The Colts signed Raekwon Davis in the offseason. He really hasn't made an impact. Those guys are getting moved completely out of the play. And when you allow other offensive linemen to get to the second level, they're the ones that are swallowing up the EJ Speeds, the Zaire Franklins, who are usually there to stop that run in their tracks. The running backs are getting 5-6 yards before they're even being contacted. So that really hurts. And when the Colts have faced running backs like Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift didn't have the best game, but then you look at Tank Bigsby against the Jaguars, who had a monster game. These running backs that are fast, can break tackles, those are the ones that really have success against the Colts this season, which means Devon Achane could certainly have success. I'm not sure the health of Raheem Mostert for you guys, but
I think he's healthy. He might be healthier than Achane, because Achane had a concussion. He was in a red jersey on Monday. He finally is full go, but Achane was like a week. My camera's wide out, but Achane was like a week away. So and Mostert was we should have a staple of running backs. We feel really confident with that.
Even a little Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the thing so far with Anthony Richardson leading the offense, the Colts haven't really been able to sustain long drives or have a lot of time of possession. So the Dolphins could have a big advantage in that regard if they're able to control the clock, run the football. That takes pressure off of your quarterbacks is there as well. Whether it's Skylar Thompson or Snoop Huntley, either one. I think that the Dolphins rely on the run game. That's going to be their best plan of attack against this Colts defense.
Quick question, man. How like we know about AR, you know what I mean, and the timing and stuff like that. But you mentioned prior, you said you have the important game for you guys. We're a divisional game, but we're a conference game, but you have a divisional game next week after us. So how conservative do you think the coaching staff will be with running AR and putting him in harm against us, knowing that we're fighting, so we have to kind of win this game, so we're going to take chances?
That's a good question. I don't think the Colts are going to be conservative, because this should tell you everything you need to know. Against the Steelers, Anthony Richardson comes out of the game. He tells Shane Steichen, I'm good to go. So Shane Steichen trusts him on that. He comes in and on the very next play that he comes in, Colts run a quarterback draw on that very next play. So if Anthony Richardson says he's 100%, all bets are off. Shane Steichen is not going to put the governor on him. They're still going to use him in the quarterback run game. On average this year, Anthony Richardson, I think he's averaging around 6 or 7 rushing attempts per game. That's down a little bit from last year in those first 4 games where he had 9 rushing attempts per game. So the Colts aren't going to run him 10 to 15 times. I don't assume, but they are still going to use him at times in the quarterback run game.
I guess what Wally was trying to say, or what I want to kind of interpret that statement to be, is with you guys having a divisional game next week, let's just say this game gets out of hand in the first quarter. How likely is it you call the dogs off?
Nah, bro. This game is not gonna be out of hand in the first quarter. This is gonna be an ugly game, bro. This is gonna be one of these 13-10 games, one of these 15. This game is gonna be it's going down to the wire
at the end of the show. But I'm just saying,
this guy's playing Madden right now. He's playing Madden. Right
when I said we was going to score 70 in the Broncos game, they told me I was crazy, and then it happened.
You think we're gonna drop 70 in the first quarter?
I'm not saying we're dropping 70 with Snoop. I'm just saying.
That's not how Shane Steichen rolls. And when you have Anthony Richardson, I mean, there was in his fourth career game, the Los Angeles Rams were up 23-0. Anthony Richardson led that team back and tied that football game. So Shane Steichen never calls off the dogs. He's always going to try to win no matter what the score is. And he's a very aggressive head coach. So yeah, even if it's a 3-score game after that first quarter, I think you're going to see more aggression out of Shane Steichen rather than less.
Quick question, man. You mentioned Speed earlier. It's one of the guys we don't talk about, but who is someone we should get to know? We're going to get to know on Sunday on your team. It doesn't matter if it's a kicker, the punter, whoever it is. Who's a guy? Who's that guy?
Well, I can give you two on both sides of the ball. Starting with the defense, Samuel Womack III. You probably never heard that guy's name before, and I don't blame you, because he was a guy that was picked off of waivers from the San Francisco 49ers in August, was supposed to come in, just be a depth piece for the Colts. Then Juju Brents goes down week 1. All of a sudden, Samuel Womack is thrown in as the starter at outside cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts. And all this dude has done is ball out. Last week against the Titans, he was the primary defender on Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley had 0 catches on 8 targets. Total, Samuel Womack in coverage last week, 1 catch allowed for 2 yards. Currently, he's the number 2 graded cornerback on Pro Football Focus in terms of coverage. This guy is the real deal. And I think it's because in San Francisco, they moved him around a lot. This is the first time he's been able to stick and just play outside corner. And he's doing a phenomenal job. He's a guy that's very competitive. He got a very high football IQ. Again, not someone that you probably ever heard about, but he is every wide receiver that he's gone up against so far this season in a Colts uniform. He's done a hell of a job. So he's definitely going to be tested this weekend with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, some of the best wide receivers in the NFL. But I think Samuel Womack's going to be up for the challenge. I'm not saying he's going to blanket those guys, because I don't think anybody can really blanket those guys all game long, but he's certainly going to put up a fight. And I think you're going to be impressed by what number 33 is able to do out there on Sunday. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I don't think the Colts have played the Dolphins since this guy was drafted, but Josh Downs is really a fantastic wide receiver. He's coming into his own. He is definitely the guy that has been moving the chains this year with Michael Pittman dealing with that back injury. Josh Downs is really developing into that quick win wide receiver. Fantastic hands, really wins with precision off the line of scrimmage. Great route runner, and I think the mark of a good wide receiver is when the defense knows what you're going to do, but you still go out there and do it and execute and do it well. I think that's what really makes a good wide receiver. NFL defenses know that Josh Downs is their go-to on third down on these option routes, and he still is killing whoever is opposite him in coverage. So look for Josh Downs to be a huge part of the offense again this weekend, and as he starts to really come out and be a force in the NFL.
Jalen Ramsey gonna shut all that. No, I ain't trying to hear none of that.
We'll see. Jalen Ramsey, I don't know if he's got the speed to keep up with Josh Downs. We'll see.
Sometimes you don't need you don't need speed, but you have the technique. You remember that? Grab here, listen. I love Josh Downs. I almost drafted him in my fantasy when he was gone, and he kind of started off slow, but yet he was still effective for your team. Like if you're looking at fantasy numbers, they don't make any sense, but team reliability and on third down specifically, he's a monster, man. He's having that Cedric Wilson type year for you guys, like for the Cowboys when we got duped. But he's coming and he's fast, man. He's a fast cat.
Yeah, listen, this Colts wide receiver group, over the years, wide receiver has probably been the weak point for the Colts. This year, it's one of their strongest positions. You know what you're getting out of Michael Pittman Jr. when he's healthy. He's a wide receiver 1. He's a guy that's going to consistently move the chains for you, make clutch plays when he's called upon. Josh Downs in his second year is coming into his own. Alec Pierce finally has quarterbacks that can match his talent as a deep threat. Alec Pierce is still leading the NFL in yards per catch at 20 28.3. That is absurd, guys. 28.3 yards per catch for Alec Pierce. So if Anthony Richardson is out there, expect a couple of shots deep to Alec Pierce, whether he's guarded or not, because he's going to give him a chance to go up and get that football.
Listen, I'm not. When I'm talking about that was like a Jersey Mike sub you just prepared with that way. We gonna see Jalen Ramsey.
You got a score prediction? Ask him if he has a score prediction. He feels so confident. Ask him a score prediction.
Hold on. Jalen Ramsey gets the interception. I might have to ask you on Twitter. I'm gonna have to do it again. I usually is uncharacteristic.
Listen.
I'm just had to. Hey. So, but one of the things I want to just quickly mention is I'm looking at your total points per game. I'm looking at the points that you scored, even in your touchdowns. Like it's like mirrored your opponents 23 points a game. The touchdowns that you all thrown this season is kind of mirrored your opponent. It's almost like you say you get up for certain opponents or you play down to certain opponents. I feel like this Colts team just kind of mirrors who they got coming in from week to week, whether it's in a great performance or a bit of a different performance.
Nice hands there, buddy.
What I just want to know, do you see this game becoming a field goal kind of game? Because I'm the leader of the special teams, and I'm looking at how close everything is. Do you think this is more of a special teams? How's your special teams?
It's a shameless plug. That's a shameless plug.
The special teams is depending on the unit, can be hit or miss. Matt Gay has been automatic inside of 50, outside of 50, been a problem, and he knows it. He even admitted that he's not trusting his line, and for the Colts, who gave Matt Gay the biggest free agent contract for a kicker in NFL history 2 seasons ago, and it's got to be better. It's got to be better. They've said they have full confidence in Matt Gay, and the last couple of games he has been better. You're seeing him get his confidence back, but still, every time he goes out there from over 50 yards, you're holding your breath a little bit. The punting game, though, Rigoberto Sanchez, he may not boot it 60 yards every time. He is more of a directional punter, but it's hard to find a better directional punter in the NFL than Rigoberto Sanchez. If you don't believe me, if you don't believe me, go watch that punt at the end of the game last week against the Tennessee Titans, where Rigoberto Sanchez punted that football, and that thing died at the 3-yard line. One of the best punts I have ever seen. I don't think he's an all-pro punter. I don't think he's a Pro Bowl punter.
They don't make him because he has to have all these crazy net yards. It has to be some crazy elaborate stuff.
Exactly. But when you're talking about a guy that when you need to pin someone inside the 20, it's hard to find a guy better at doing that than Rigoberto Sanchez. So again, he's not going to kick at 60 yards, but more often than not, you're going to find your team starting inside the 20 when he's punting the football away. So to get back to your question, do I see this game ending up being more reliant on the special teams? I don't know about that. I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think that the Colts are going to run away with it or the Dolphins are going to run away with it. I do think that this is going to be a very hard-fought game, regardless that Tua Tagovailoa is not out there leading this Dolphins offense. I do think that the Dolphins still have playmakers all across both sides of the football. So I do think that it's probably going to come down to turnovers. Which team wins the turnover battle is probably going to win this football game. Whether if Anthony Richardson comes out a little rusty and starts, multiple turnovers, or if the Colts defense is able to force some turnovers, we're just going to have to see. But I don't necessarily think it's going to be like a 15-12 game. It'll probably end up being, 20, 27, 23, something like that, 27, 20 in that regard. There's going to be some scoring, but I think whichever team can come out on top in the turnover battle is probably going to win this football game.
Since we here, don't run away from it. He got him right. He got him hanging in the ropes. Who's going to win the game, man? Who's going to win the game?
We got you against the ropes, Andrew.
I think him in the corner, man.
I think it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts. I really do, because I think you're getting
Right.
Anthony Richardson back. You're going to be at home. This crowd is going to be really hyped to see Anthony Richardson back. I do think that the Dolphins are going to make some plays. I really do. Whether it's on the ground or through the air, the Colts have had a propensity to give up explosive plays. They did a really good job of limiting that against the Tennessee Titans last week. They were also playing against Will Levis, so let's be honest here.
Was the backup quarterback Mason Rudolph, which is kind of a better option.
Exactly.
The same reason I want to say I didn't want to see Joe Flacco, so I'm really
exactly. So I'm gonna go Colts in a close one here. I'm gonna go 24-17. I do think that it's gonna be a touchdown game. I think the Dolphins are gonna have a chance to win it at the end, but I don't know if I trust that quarterback situation of you guys, and it might just come up a little bit short. But I think 24-17 Colts in the end.
I think it's not going to be a quarterback.
Wally, you want to get a score prediction?
I'm gonna go 27-20 us, man. They're not gonna stop the run, and they're not gonna stop the run. And you're gonna force AR to be a passer, limited, given the fact that if the Dolphins control the time of possession, you force AR to throw the ball. You kind of expose him to interceptions. His timing might not. Him and Josh don't have a connection, but the timing of being together for a while, you need that in practice. Those reps are not there. So if you force them right now, they don't have I'm not worried about their tight ends. I'm not worried about their running backs. You can actually stack the box and force them to throw the ball and play your numbers game. So if with that in ball control, just like you said, it's a turnover game. So who blinks first? And you're expecting a rookie to make the mistake, but the Joker wild card is that we have a backup quarterback. I see a practice squad quarterback. So it's you're playing two wild cards right now. It's insane. And you got the smart man will go with the rookie. I mean, the second year guy that has all the upside, and a team that was built around them. This team wasn't built around Hundley, so I get what he's saying, but we're going 27-20 Dolphins, no matter what you say. You know what I'm talking about?
Let me take the boat around that wide net.
Wow, that's what we doing. That's crazy.
Ain't no more fishy in the ocean. Listen, I'm gonna go
only Dolphins,
baby. I'm gonna go. I say special teams game. Take the points when they give you. I'm gonna go 27-21.
I said 27-20. You see what I'm saying, Andrew? You see what I'm dealing with, right? You see what I'm dealing with, right? You see what I'm dealing with? This is the type of individual you're dealing with, man.
It's only crazy if it don't work.
Wow, you just stole my own swag, boys. This is insane, man. Listen, well, Andrew, man, we appreciate you for your time, man. I'm just going to tell you right now, Coach, I'm not going to win this game, but man, thank you for giving us your time, man. We appreciate you here, man. We'll hope to talk to you next week. And French tags you on Twitter with the multiple interceptions, with the multiple hays. French, make sure you're on top of this, okay? You have a job to do.
I'm looking for Jalen Ramsey to make a play. Either Jalen Ramsey or listen. I'm gonna give you a name that you might not know of. You might know of him, Zach Sealer. I don't know if you know about Zach.
Great defensive lineman. Fantastic.
I got him with a turnover somehow. He's good with that paw. He's like a polar bear in on a snow cap, just pawing away at the ball.
That's very graphic. I mean, it's the thing you're doing here.
Hey, we'll see how Quentin Nelson feels about that one, but it'll be fun. It'll be a fun game.
Barbecue chicken. Y'all better not want that. Y'all better chip.
Hey, the Colts have the best offensive line in football right now. So it's gonna be a fun matchup to see. But hey, gentlemen, appreciate you having me on. I had a blast. Loved always talking ball with you guys, and hopefully I could join you again soon.
All right, brother. You have a good one, man. It was a great time with you, man.
Yep, appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
You stole my bars. That's crazy.
Listen,
You stole
listen,
my bars.
listen.
Like,
You
you
cast
a
the
thief.
widest net. I
You
got
a
caught up in the
thief.
propeller.
You went 27-21. Like, my man.
But I said special teams, you're going to take the points.
You said 27-21. I said 27-20. Like, what did you thought you did something with that? You thought you did something with that.
Listen, on the price, hey, Barker would be proud.
Yo, Bob. Hey, man, listen, before we go, man, listen, you know about Price Picks. I ain't gonna give you none of that whole spiel and none of that. Listen, just use the promo code 5. FIVE 5. Put $5, we're gonna give you this money. You'll put $5, we're gonna give you $50. All you gotta do is go make some picks. And if you win, holla at your boy.
And listen, we're gonna give you 5 reasons because we're gonna drop these picks on the timeline. So I'm gonna give you 5 reasons to follow us on the Twitter. Because we're gonna be making money. Get this money on. Ain't that what Jet? Ain't that what Auto say? You gotta get the money on.
You know what I'm saying? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you for your time. I know some of y'all Heat fans want to watch the Heat game. Y'all want to watch some baseball, whatever. We appreciate you for your time, man. Follow the brand, man. Subscribe, drop 5 stars, man. We appreciate you, man. If you see the five, follow everybody on 5 Reasons Sports, man. We're a team. Respect everybody. All love, man. Have a good one.